Okay, we're live. We're so live right now. We're so live right now. It's unbelievable how live we are right now. Okay. 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 Okay, I'm finishing up some stuff and we can begin with the podcast, okay? Hey Ghost, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for joining, man. Okay, I think it's time to begin with the podcast. Let me get some stuff going here. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UFC 319 fall preview. So we have another pay-per-view by the UFC. This one is headlined by a fight that there's a chance that it might not be good, but it is very compelling, and I'm very excited about it, to be quite honest. We have middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis defending his middleweight championship against Hamza Chimaev. So we have a very interesting clash of styles here. Obviously, du Plessis, he has been beaten before, but undefeated in the UFC. Big wins against the likes of Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya. Dethroned former champion Sean Strickland in a very close fight, but made it very clear on the rematch that he was the champion and he was here to stay. Against him, we have Hamza Chimaev, the Chechen wrestler who is still undefeated in his professional MMA career. Chimaev comes with a 14-0 record and has only faced like any kind of adversity like twice in his career in his fights against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. So, but we'll get into that. This had at one moment 15 bouts, but we are down two. So for those of you that don't know, we have the Ultimate Fighter finals in this card, but the fight between uh, Rodrigo Cezinando and Daniil Donchenko has been cancelled, as well as a bout between King Green and Carlos Diego Ferreira. Those two fights are no longer happening. We still have 13 bouts. This is going on in Chicago, Illinois, at the United Center. So we have 13 fights. How good is this card? We'll see when we get into that. So why don't we get into our first fight of the night? So I was talking about the Ultimate Fighter finals, finale. When do you use finale and when do you use final? Anyway, but yes, we have. Let's get right into it. Our first fight of the night, the Ultimate Fighter flyweight final. We have Alivi Idris against Joseph Morales. Let's begin with Idris, a Kazakh wrestle kickboxer with a tall stance, a bouncy wild style that is common from the area. He trains out of Erkin Kosh, a gym that has produced former UFC fighters like Sergey Morozov and Shalgas Shumagulov. Dynamic and creative, Idris throws most of his strikes with full power, though he has been incorporating more probing with his lead hand lately. Owner of a wide variety of shots, straight punches, hooks, front kicks, roundhouses, pairing attacks together and playing off reactions are a strong suit for him. Very good at landing knees from range, be it stepping on them or just jumping into range. Spinning kicks are also part of the menu. He attacks all three levels constantly, and while his footwork can be messy at times, especially when extending combination, he constantly looks to create angles for both offensive and defensive reasons. His check hook is an example of this. He can throw it wild, can lose his footing after pivoting, but it usually works for getting him offline. Other than footwork, his defense relies on leanbacks, blocks, and sometimes ducking, looking for counters inside the pocket. What sets him apart from other fighters from the region is his willingness to put combinations together and his thoughtful shot selection. Not only a striker, Idris is also a solid wrestler. Inside the clinch, he mostly looks to complete trips against the cage, having a number of setups for both inside and outside varieties. But he's also dangerous with easy transitions and combinations during breaks. While capable of finishing singles and double legs, he lacks setups at open space. He's better shooting when he pressures foes to the fence. Defensively, he has been a very solid wrestler, strong with the whizzer and very heavy hips, who can deny or reverse any obvious takedown attempts. From top, he's powerful with ground and pound, and while he's heavy from top position, he will often favor damage over control. His use of rights to land ground and pound is notable, but he's also a threat from the back and mount. Idris looks to be well conditioned and very tough so far. His wild technique and shallow defense on the feet can expose him, and he works better in bigger cages, as he can be lacking in cagecraft at times. Against him, we have Joseph Morales, a team alpha male wrestle boxer. Morales fights heavy on his front foot, looking to maintain neutral space with constant pivots or to pressure behind his 1-2. His offense is on the minimalistic side, fighting behind the jab and looking to put short combinations together, mostly with long shots. But his solid footwork and ability to counter make him a threat as a boxer and give him surprising versatility. A front kick up the middle and sneaky head kicks from both sides help him with variety and allow him withstanding opponents upright. Footwork and erratic hand movement after combinations are his main ways of defense, but he can be pushed back in straight lines if unsure of what's coming. Solid in transitions, Morales does a lot of work drawing out kicks with his boxing and then catching those kicks and converting them into counters or takedowns. A scrambly wrestler, Morales will shoot takedowns in open space and has a sound single leg, but he finishes a lot of his offense from the body lock. He's also good at taking the back standing, he will look for mat returns and broomstick sweeps to get the fight down. Takedown defense is solid if not outstanding, but it's greatly complemented by his scrambling ability, with a good number of mat wrestling resources available to him. From top, he's solid, working aggressive passes and constantly posturing up to look to improve position or land shots. And taking the back is a specialty for him, with a good number of rear naked chokes to his name. Also good from his back, Morales has never been submitted, he remains safe from bad position and always works to create movement. And he will attack submissions from guard 2, being the owner of 2 triangle choke victories. Morales is solid all around with good cardio and very tough. He can lack a second gear and some lapses in takedown defense can expose him against well-rounded opponents. So the Ultimate Fighter final pits two well-rounded threats against each other. Uh, Team DC Idris is undefeated and is the more athletic and dynamic of the two, while Team Sonen's Morales has more high-level experience with a previous UFC run under his belt. At range, Idris will have an advantage with his kicking arsenal and more powerful punches, but Morales is probably the better school striker in boxing situations. Idris has struggled when he cannot easily seize the initiative, and Morales has been pressuring more insistently since his tough run. Morales might find success pushing the Kazakh back, punishing his linear retreats, and trying to find takedowns against the fence. But Idris fights at a higher clip with variety and dynamism on his side, and he's also a very sturdy wrestler who is likely to have a physicality edge. This coupled with this being contested at a big cage, and I got a favor Alibi to win by decision here. Okay, let me get back to the chat if there's anyone out there. Hey, Dan Albert, James Kendrick, Sammy Arnett, Mark Berry, man. Welcome, guys. Appreciate you all being here. Oh, there's a lot of like cat hair, man, on the air right now. It's killing me. Hey, Sammy, appreciate it, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast, man. I'm kind of excited about this fight. To be quite honest, it's an exciting one. This Ultimate Fighter final. I feel like Ultimate Fighter finals have been lacking a lot of times, but I feel like this one is bringing the heat. I was kind of looking forward to the welterweight one. This one is a lot better though, but I'm still kind of bummed out that the welterweight one is not happening in this event, man. But yeah, man, I'm excited about Alivi, man. And if you haven't seen it, I we have quite a few good prelims, especially this one. I like a lot. We have quite a few other ones. Man, there's so much cat hair. When were the cats here, man? But yeah, there's a few good prelims. We'll get into that. Let's get into the next fight. Which is it? Okay, this one could be good. Could be good actually. We go from the male flyweight division to the female flyweight division, as we have a bout between Carini Silva and Diony Barbosa. So let's begin with Carini Silva, an athletic and confident grappler. She keeps busy at range with jabs, front kicks, and leg kicks. She feints and switches stances to give different looks and find her spots. And she carries decent power, especially in her overhand right, and she's a very hard kicker too. She's active parrying and her good distance management make for the bulk of her decent. She makes it work though with good eyes and composure. She uses her overhand right to transition into clinches and takedown attempts very effectively. She's very strong, physically strong during tie-ups. Athleticism and solid footwork allow her to finish takedowns if she finds a body lock. A single and double leg series is functional and allow her to finish against the fence as well. And in case of that not working, she will also drop down for half guard entries to work her leg lock game. Her leg lock game is a big part of her grappling game. From top, she's the owner of heavy ground and pound, and she's a versatile submission threat, uh, particularly with her front headlock series during transitions and her aforementioned leg lock game. From her back, she can also create movement to get to the legs, and she will attack with traditional like submission attacks, and she has also shown the ability to wall walk, but she can be put on her back. She is tough, but her cardio has been hit and miss. Her lack of depth and process on the feet is a problem, and she can be controlled from top if she can't create the space or get to the legs, as I previously mentioned. Against her, we have Diony Barbosa, a former judoka. Barbosa is athletic and nimble on her feet, mostly finds behind jab feints, and a quick and stiff 1-2, after which she's good at angling out or avoiding counters, leaning or stepping back. Heavy kicks, especially with her right leg, help her with variety, and she can build different follow-ups and change-ups off the jab once she has it established. She's decent at using tie-ups and clinches to defend when she's not able to use her linear in and out movement and pivots in close. Her defense is a lot more limited when pushed back though, without control of the initiative, with linear retreats and lack of head movement. Outside judoka, the clinch is a strong phase for her, being very good at finding takedowns in transition after her punches or ducking under incoming attacks, but has also adapted her judo throws to work against defense well. And she's effective from overhooks and underhooks, thanks to her footwork and timing. On the ground, she has a solid base from top position, exerting heavy pressure from half guard and three-quarter mount. If she finds herself on her back, she will use butterfly hooks to either sweep or elevate her opponents and move onto pushing the hips to get up. She's sort of an armbar specialist. She has a multitude of setups and variants to the technique to go for the submission, but she can relinquish position when looking for it. Barbosa is athletic and tough, but her cardio has looked sketchy and she can struggle against fellow strong clinch grapplers. Her lack of depth on the feet can be a problem too. So this is a rematch. They originally fought in 2019 in a fight that I sadly couldn't find anywhere. What's interesting on paper though is that Barbosa, who was only 2-0 at the time, was able to beat the vastly more experienced Silva, who came into that fight with a 9-3 record. Barbosa takes this on short notice as Silva was supposed to fight JJ Aldrich here. Both have struggled during third rounds, and it remains to be seen if that was fixed. Barbosa rebounded after losing to Miranda Maverick with a quick first round win over Belbitsa, while Silva is coming off her first UFC loss against Viviane Araújo. Karine Silva is now with Fighting Nerds, so there might be some kind of overhaul to her game. But I do think that Barbosa can match the athleticism of Silva, and I feel like Silva does not like when she fights a fellow athlete. I feel like that was kind of apparent in the Araujo fight. While both lack depth on the feet, Carini has a comfort advantage, while Barbosa is certainly the better school striker of the two. Barbosa has struggled being taken down in the past, but I don't think Silva has the wrestling of Miranda Maverick, and she takes more risks during scrambles too, while Barbosa is a bit safer. I feel like Barbosa's more disciplined boxing and better priorities on the ground will overcome the power shots and leg lock game of Carini. It is risky because she comes in short notice, but I think that Barbosa beats Carini once again via decision. Okay, let me get here. Yeah, Alibi is very exciting, man. I'm excited about Alibi. This one is a rematch. Yeah, I mentioned that in the last fight. Yeah, Karini was. We were talking about that the other day, right, Mark? But yeah, Karini was very disappointing in that Araujo fight, man. That's rough for a prospect to lose to Araujo, man. Kind of rough. James Kendrick says, like Edwards versus Cachoeira good or Judis versus Cagliari good. This one is more something in between. I feel like this one is interesting because both are very good grapplers. Carini Silva is like as I mentioned as I mentioned in the breakdown, is that Carini has a bit like this bravado to her, and she has like big power. While Barbosa, I feel like I don't know who the coaches are, but I feel like Barbosa is very well schooled on the feet. Like she throws with good technique. I like that she pivots a lot after her combinations. So it's a fight between like someone that is like more natural in Carini Silva against someone that is like better schooled in Barbosa, but both are very good athletes. By the way, that tweet that I said about like the UFC inflating the the judo credentials of Barbosa, it's funny because Chris Cyborg had commented under my tweet that Barbosa was apparently an alternate for the Olympic team, so that's where that description came to her way. So it's not that far off, I guess. I wonder if Cyborg is her manager because it was very weird to see Cyborg like responding to me. But she was nice. She was nice because I was like, okay, thanks for the clarification, and she actually liked the tweet instead of like being salty like other fighters. So that was cool. It is the way she lost too. Just accepted defeat. Yeah, she didn't go hard at all during the third round. Like she was so tired, and Araujo was Araujo, who is like not a dog herself. Like we've seen Araujo like just accept like losing decisions in the past. So it was a bad look for Carini for sure. Okay, let's get into the next one. Which is it? Okay, I don't know how I feel about this one to be honest. After that, we move to middleweight. We have a bout between Nursultan Rusiboyev and Brian Battle. So let's begin with Rusiboyev. A tall kickboxer, Rusiboyev fights out of a tall bouncy stance. While he can fight behind his jab and inside leg kick to establish range, what he really wants to do is to leap in with left hooks and right hands, and especially counter entries with his right hand as his trans fighter on the outside. He has decent power and accuracy with his punches, and a bit of variety, able to throw wide, straight, and surprise with the occasional uppercut. Spinning attacks at range help with variety as and he throws them with good timing and technique. Rusiboyev's defense relies largely on his spacing and length. He has decent footwork on the outside, but he exposed himself leaping into range, nullifying his usual reach advantage. His length makes him hard to deal with inside the clinch, and he can be dangerous, particularly during breaks. Takedown defense has looked sketchy, especially in open space. While he's a good scrambler, he usually needs to create movement during transitions and can be stuck on the bottom by heavy top players. Despite only 20 submission wins in his record, his grappling has looked just average against UFC level opponents, as most of his grappling success was against subpar competition. Rusiboyev is tough and seems to have decent cardio at 185, but his game is on the shallow side. Against him, we have Brian Battle, a well rounded long volume kickboxer. He has made improvements to his boxing since his UFC debut, especially his ability to throw relaxed volume and put combinations together. His kicks are powerful and allow him to compete at long range. He's also a dexterous kicker with good variety. He usually weaponizes his length and his volume to take over fights and make up for a lack of depth to his striking. Defense mostly consists on spacing and high guard, but he has good eyes and awareness and seems harder to hurt than it would look with his lack of head movement. Barrett is also a good transition fighter, grabbing clinches also offer a form of defense, and he can flow between his combination punching and smothering with clinches. Knees and elbows from the clinch are also a strong point, particularly if he gets to collar ties. Knees and elbows. Oh, I just mentioned that. I'm sorry. Battle is willing to grind takedowns against the fence if he feels he has a grappling advantage. Not a nuanced offensive wrestler, but he's physical and insistent. Good fierce layer of defensive wrestling thanks to his length and physical strength, has had trouble defending against chain wrestling against the fence. A solid BJJ player, from top position he mixes good positioning with punishing ground and pound and submission threats during transitions. From his back, he's hard to hurt as he stands well, and he's good at recovering guard, but his ability to get back up has looked lacking so far. Good cardio and athletic, but Battle is dependent on his pace and transitions to take over fights and can struggle against specialists who can impose their game. So, Battle moves back to 185 and is immediately welcomed by someone with a considerable height advantage over him. Rusiboyev might be able to surprise Battle early with his length advantage and being dangerous out of the gate, and he could take advantage of Battle's lack of head movement with his counters or just slipping into range. That being said, Battle is very tough, and he probably has a solid striking edge if he gets into close range and extend combinations. Battle's kicking game will also make competing with Rusiboyev on the outside easier. I feel like also Ryan Battle is the superior grappler. On top of that, and Rusiboyev is no stranger in finding himself on his back and probably has Battle it is has a cardio edge on top of that. I think that Brian Battle will become the first man to finish Rusiboyev with a second round knockout here. Oh, I didn't have the result there. That was a blunder. That was a blunder, man. That one was a mess. Battlestar defense is the main reason I'm so iffy on him here. Kevin you said fight, but he should be more physical against Rusiboyev. Yeah, I feel like battle is this battle fight to lose. Yeah, I would say so, James Kendrick. I feel like Battle has like quite a lot of advantages here. I'm not super high on. I'm not super high on Rusiboyev to be quite honest, man. I mean, he has good qualities, right? He has good counters with the right hand at range. He's very, very long, and that obviously are like good qualities to have. He's not that bad of a grappler, but I feel like his game is too shallow. The way he got like manhandled by Joaquin Buckley. Not that Brian Battle is like similar to Joaquin Buckley, but have you seen Rusiboyev's brother? Um, Actually, I kind of remember something on Twitter about Rusiboyev's brother, but I don't actually remember. Let me Google that like real quick. Mashrabion Rusiboyev, Black Junior. Wait, he's super short. His brother is short. What? No way. Is this correct? That's crazy, man. This guy looks nothing like Nursultan, man. That's insane. And man, why can't Jared Gordon get a step up in competition, man? Man, he got robbed by Paddy Pimblet and by Nasrat Hakparas, man. This guy deserves to be fighting like higher up the rankings, man. The UFC hates Jared Gordon for whatever reason, man. And the Ferreira winning was like that immediate like kind of knockout that you cannot actually like replicate against good opposition, right? He just threw like the longest 1-2 ever, and Ferreira like they didn't see it coming. And Ferreira is still like kind of sketchy at times, so that's insane. That's like Rusiboyev is what, like 6'4", and this guy is 5'7", 5'8". Okay, that's still insane, man. But yeah, I feel like Battle just has like too many avenues to win here. To be honest, like I feel like he can kick with Rusiboyev. He can outbox him if he gets on his face the way he got into the French guy's face. You mentioned his name. Hey, please, can my dude. Kevin Jusset, yeah. If he gets on his face like he got against Kevin Jusset, I feel like Rusiboyev is going to die, man. And I'm not even like a big Brian Battle fan, man. No, no, no. We haven't got to MVP yet, man. We're at the prelims yet, dog. So you're still in time to listen about MVP. But yeah, I feel like Battle can just like box him, can maybe uh can maybe like clinch him, and if he gets on top, like I feel like Battle is a way better grappler. Like I saw some people on Twitter like very confident about Rusty Boy, but like, bro, like, did you see the fight against Dustin Stolfus or against like Joaquin Buckley? Like, that's why I'm not high on Rusty Boy, man. Okay, let's get to the next one. Oh, we move to lightweight for our next fight as Edson Barbosa fights against Drakkar Klose. Let's begin with Barbosa. Barbosa returns to 155 after a stint at featherweight. The Brazilian kickboxer is still a dynamic threat with power and speed to spare. But the years haven't been in vain, as Barbosa has certainly taken a hit when it comes to durability and reaction time. But the smaller weight cut might help him with that here. Barbosa is still a sharp combination striker with a dodge style. He attacks all three levels with punch kick combinations and is well schooled about moving his head and feet with his strikes. The left hook, switch kick, and right overhand are his most reliable weapons, and he has a solid jab that he uses to get combinations going. He also likes to use elbows and knees, particularly to intercept incoming foes and dissuade them from pressuring. While he has shown good defensive skills with his footwork and head movement, his defense is on the road side and he can tend to fall into big movements when pressured. Takedown defense is a strong suit, usually only conceding takedowns against high level wrestlers after the pressure and pace are wearing on him. He can be put against the fence with takedown attempts, but he's strong in the clinch and fight grips well before framing and angling out. When taken down, Barbosa has shown some grappling chops with butterfly hooks, traditional guard game, and even some leg entanglements. While he doesn't use it often, Barbosa is the owner of an explosive double leg in open space and has shown big ground and pound in a few occasions. As already mentioned, Barbosa is still quite fast and athletic, and his technique and tactics are still sharp. He also remains well conditioned despite his energy intensive style. For Barbosa, the problem has always been how he falls apart when pressured over long periods, as he's not a natural counterpuncher and his footwork can get too wide. Against him, we have Drakkar Klose, a grindy, well-rounded MMA lab fighter. On the feet, Klose is a switch hitter who can pressure well behind big kicks and jabs, looking for power kicks to the body and overhands finding clinch entries. If put on the back foot, he can lead hook well off both stances, he kicks hard and moves around decently well. His defense relies on his ability to smother and take steps back, but he can move his head and feet well during spots. Clinching is his A game, very aggressive with dirty boxing and digging knees from a variety of grips, usually winning exchanges of single collar ties. And he can also grind for takedowns from the body lock, being effective with trips attacking the legs. He shines during transitions, being a surprisingly solid combination puncher from up close during breaks, and being able to convert takedown attempts into clinch striking and vice versa. From top position, he's not very controlling, but will look to attack ground and pound, favoring rights. If putting his back, he's very active attacking with elbows from bottom and always looking to create space for his hips and look for get ups. Toughness has always been one of his best qualities, and while cardio has faded a bit with age, he still pushes hard in later rounds. Despite being more insistent with pressure and more aggressive in later years, he still has trouble accepting the fight his opponents give him, and he can fail to put a stamp on rounds if he doesn't find big moments. A fellow veteran welcomes Barbosa back to 155. Close, Close is only 2 years younger than the Brazilian, but he has only 19 pro bouts as opposed to Barbosa's 36. So almost half the fights. Despite coming off a loss, Close has been the more consistent winner lately, being 4-1 in his last fight, contrasted with Edson, who is 2-3 in his last fight. That being said, Barbosa has been fighting a higher level of opposition. Close has a style and tools to trouble Barbosa and win this fight, especially if he can find clinches and rough him up against the cage. Hopefully, to eventually find takedowns. And he also has a few good tools at range to compete with his leg kicks and a solid jab and lead hooks. The thing with Close is that he tends to lose focus over long fights and relies on his ability to compete everywhere to win. Barbosa, on the other hand, can falter to pressure, but he remains focused and knows where he wins fights. I also expect Barbosa to have a big speed advantage that will come in handy to move back to the center of the cage where he's the superior striker. Close should win this fight, taking over more as the fight progresses, but I feel like the contrary is actually going to happen, and that Barbosa will be able to keep the distance and get his combinations going as the American loses focus. So I'm taking a risk here, going against the logic of the matchup, and I think that it's Barbosa who is winning this fight by decision. Okay. When you say Dutch style, does he use the Dutch combo that's on the fight? Yeah, Barbosa is actually loves the Dutch combo, man. Um, Barbosa beautiful with the left hook to the body and the leg kick, man. Very similar. He throws kind of similar to Aldo, even though they have like kind of different they have different technique in the left hook and the leg kick actually Barbosa and Aldo, but the way the combination flows and the way they whip the kick, it's kind of similar actually. James Kendrick says, is pressuring Edson free? Like if you're pressuring him, will he completely fall? No, not necessarily, because Edson has tools to deal with pressure, especially this older version of Edson. Uh, Edson can clinch you, he can pivot after attacks, and if you like just close in on him like time and time again, Barbosa can actually like just shoot you up, right? So I don't think that. I think that basically like a big percent of the yeah, Aldo trained like long time with Andy Sauer. That's why where he got that like Dutch style kickboxing combinations from. But I feel like most fighters are like they are better off pressuring Barbosa just because he's so dangerous. If you give him like a neutral space fight, but it's not like pressuring Edson is for free. Like for example, like Billy Quarantillo, very decent pressure fighter. He got reckless and he got killed with a knee. Benil Dariush was fighting a beautiful fight against Barbosa, and he also got killed with a knee as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that pressuring Barbosa is like the correct thing, but I don't think that it's like as easy as it looks. You gotta remember that when Barbosa has lost those very bad fights to pressure performances, it's usually against like very very good fighters. Dr. Jones, my dude, man, how are you? Welcome. I was just talking about this like very. I expecting this one to be very entertaining. It's crazy because I feel like Close has like all the tools that he likes to pressure, but I feel like Close it just gets worse as the fight goes. It's weird because like I feel like Drakkar Close has a style that is like that it is pretty much based on like wearing on people and roughing opponents up. But at the same time, like that fight against Neto BJJ, like he fought like every round he fought worse than the previous one. The other thing that worries me about Close is that he's one of those fighters that when he wants to get a takedown, he gets like super like focused on the takedown, and I feel like Edson Barbosa's takedown defense is kind of underrated, and I feel like Close might get tired looking for takedowns and eating knees against the cage. That's something else that I didn't mention on the breakdown, but yeah, I feel like Close will lose focus. I feel like Close will have like moments of looking good, of pushing Barbosa back with kicks, finding clinches, putting combinations together during breaks. And then as the fight went on, he will accept like having like a kickboxing fight in the center of the cage. And I feel like Barbosa will shoot him up for that. So the thing is that it's like my gut reaction when I seen this matchup was like, okay, Close is obviously going to like get physical on Netson and he's going to fuck him up. And then the more I watched tape, I was like, uh, the more I watched tape, I was like, yeah, Close actually doesn't do what's the best for him most of the time. I was to be fair, like to be honest here, like I was a Drakkar Close hater for a very long time, and then I thought that he looked like he would he got like way cooler in this like last run, up to losing to Joel Alvarez. The four fights before, I thought like that's the more entertaining that Close has ever been. So yeah, but I cannot trust him. I still feel like Barbosa still has a bit of the tank. Like Barbosa had some bad losses at 145, but I feel that that weight cut was like way too much. I feel. He looked kind of frail at 145. That he always gave me that like vibe. So hopefully he looks a bit like more physically stronger here. Crazy, right? Because Barbosa is now back at 155, and he was getting like manhandled by current bantamweight Bryce Mitchell in one of the like craziest disparities in physique that we have seen in the UFC, man. Because like Bryce Mitchell is just like a skinny guy that maybe works out sometimes, and Barbosa is like chiseled, man. Okay, let's get into the next one. Oh, I kind of hate this one too. We stay at lightweight as Alexander Hernandez faces off against Chase Hooper. So let's begin with Hooper. A lanky grappler, Hooper has gained physicality and aggressiveness since his move to 155. He's an aggressive southpaw on the feet. He keeps active with karate style kicks, shifting blitzes, and a decently powerful left hand. Chase Hooper usually throws straight shots when blitzing, but he likes to throw his left as an overhand from range. He takes his set off centerline when throwing the overhand and usually closes the door with the right hook. Other than that, his defense is bare bones and he depends on aggression and level changes to keep himself safe. When it comes to wrestling, Hooper highly favors the body lock. He can try trips or swim into the back from there, and he's surprisingly strong. Hooper is a tremendously versatile grappler. He doesn't mind being on his back as he's flexible and very good at creating space to start flowing. He mostly creates scrambles by rolling to the legs. And he has been adding solid ground and pound during transitions and controlling positions. Not very controlling from top position due to the flowy nature of his grappling, but he's dangerous from the back take and the front headlock. Hooper is very tough and decently conditioned. His striking defense remains his biggest flaw. Against him, we have Alexander Hernandez, an athletic fighter that likes to fight in bursts. Hernandez often moves on the outside, exploding with moments of aggression, but he's better when allowed to operate at neutral, given time to feint and reset to set up his attacks. A switch hitter, Hernandez is the owner of a sharp 1-2 and kicks to all three levels from both stances. He's at his best when he starts to flow on the feet, maintaining initiative and using his footwork tricks and output to remain safe. Defense is largely hit and miss, while attacks Hernandez can angle out after a combination and can draw out attacks to pull away and counter. His head movement can be lacking and he can retreat in straight lines if attacked with longer combinations. A decent wrestler and grappler, Hernandez is aided by his physical strength and athleticism to attack takedowns and scramble effectively, but he's a solid technical grappler when the fight hits the mat, having good passes from top and good submission defense from the bottom, plus big ground and pound. Hernandez has great attributes, and other than some lack of depth to some areas of his game, his biggest problem remains his mental side. When he's confident, he has his head over his shoulder. Hernandez is an offensive threat with exploitable defensive flaws. But when he doubts himself, he's quick to lose the grip of the fight, and his defensive flaws get exposed easily with lower output. His cardio, his cardio also seems dependable on his confidence. So, Hooper looks to keep his undefeated streak at 155 against Hernandez. Hooper's aggression and physicality has made him look very good against aging opposition in his last couple of fights. This coupled with legit improvements to his striking, wrestling, and ground and pound mean Hooper is a serious threat and not a one-trick pony at 155. Hernandez himself is in a two-fight winning streak since moving back up to 155. He had a rough drop down to 145. So it will be interesting to see if Hernandez looks to play striker or tries to wrestle and impose top position on Hooper or mixes the two. Skill wise, I think Hernandez has the tools to beat Hooper, having better mobility and pop to deal with Hooper's power on the feet than, let's say, like Clay Guida and Jim Miller. Hernandez is also a physical clincher and a solid wrestler to deny the takedowns, and he's the owner of heavy top control to stifle Hooper on the ground. But what Hooper brings to the table is exactly what makes Hernandez stout, and that's aggressiveness, danger, and consistency. To me, this looks like a fight where Hernandez gets to look good at spots, but slowly gets overwhelmed by the aggressive nature of Hooper. Hernandez makes a few key mistakes on the ground and lowers his output as the fight goes on, as Hooper wins a decision here. Why do the analysts hate Hernandez? I feel like most of them do, right? I feel like Conor Rivers also hates Hernandez, and I kind of like him, to be honest. I feel like Hernandez has had like bad luck in good luck in a way, because I feel like Hernandez was like a very good prospect, and he got to the UFC too early, and second, that like big win against Benil Dariush meant that he was fighting like a very high level of opposition for a long time. And then the matchmakers like were never like quite right with the matchmaking of Hernandez, because he was either like fighting like very high level guys, or he was just like fighting the bottom of the barrel. So I feel like Hernandez never got to develop like a very good game. I think he has quite a few like good skills. I feel like he's a skilled fighter overall, and he has very good athletic attributes, but the inconsistency in his UFC career and having to like lose so many fights when he wasn't like quite ready, I feel like he has not developed like a good mental game. And not only like a good mental game, but he doesn't quite know what he wants to do in a fight. He has skills to take a fight everywhere, but I feel like the big problem with Hernandez is that um he quite doesn't know how to win fights. What I say with that is like not that he doesn't have heart and he doesn't push hard, but I feel like Hernandez doesn't. He goes into fights with tactics, but not with a super clear strategy. I feel, or if he does, like he doesn't impose that into fights. He just tries to compete everywhere and win. And I feel like he would be benefited from turning into more of a specialist. It would take a lot of the mental toll on him. On the other side, like Chase Hooper, I feel is a lot more of a winner in MMA. And when I say winner, it's like he knows how to wait, how to win fights. Not that he's better, right? Because I feel like skill wise, very close this fight. Like obviously, like Chase Hooper is like the better like pure grappler, but in an MMA context, I feel like Hernandez might be able to take him down and lay on top of him. Hernandez is probably the more nuanced striker here, maybe even the bigger hitter, right? But I feel like Chase Hooper just realized like I need to go very aggressive, do a lot of output, take advantage of my cardio, of my youth, and just bring it to guys. And then he has like the X factor of being like very good grappler on top of that, right? So Chase Hooper knows how to win fights. Like he knows how to win rounds. He knows how to finish. And I feel like Hernandez is like not super good at both of those, despite being a very skilled and athletic fighter. Mark Berry says, feel like he has questioned himself in every aspect. Weight class, fight style, sometimes a powerful striker, sometimes a smothering wrestler. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I feel like Hernandez, like his biggest enemy is himself, man. And I kind of feel for him, man. Is is Hernandez with Mark Montoya, man? Is Hernandez a Factory X guy? Yeah, he is. Man, Factory X might be like the biggest like head case gym in MMA, right? Like basically anyone who has been in Factory X is like a massive head case, man. Like except Royval, man, and even Royval had like those sketchy, weird fights. Like he had that fight against Brandon Moreno, right? But man, if we go to the Factory X like topology page, let's look at these fighters, man. Anthony Smith, massive head case. Chris Gutierrez, massive head case. Dustin Jacoby, massive head case. Yusuf Salal, okay, that one is one that is not a head case. Salal and Royval, those guys are like very strong here. Those are very strong. But then you have like Alexander Hernandez, another massive head case. And who else who used to be in Factory X? Um, Martinez. Martinez also a head case, man. It's crazy, see? Syndicate? Who is in Syndicate? I always forget, man. Is Syndicate the John Wood one? Brondish, man. Brondish is a head case too, man. Oh yeah, Syndicate is the John Wood one. Let's see who is like. I mean, Syndicate has Marav, right? And Marav is like the least head case guys of them all. But then you have the wife of John Wood, Joanne Calderwood or Joanne Wood, massive, massive head case. Vince Morales, maybe a bit of a head case. Khalil Roundtree, a head case for sure. But then they have some very solid guys, like mentally, like Nassim Sadikov. No, I feel like Factory X have them beat for sure. Factory X is the king of headcase gyms for sure. Okay, let's get into the next one. David Grant is very solid in the head, man. Davy Grant is like steel nerves, man. Okay, which one goes next? Okay, not sure how I feel about this one either, man. We go all the way down to strawweight for our next one. Jessica Andrade fights Lupi Godinez. So let's begin with the former champion Jessica Andrade. Despite being clearly past her best, Andrade remains a force at both 115 and 125. Still, Andrade is in a clear physical decline, more notorious in some aspects than others. She is still an athlete to be reckoned with, but the few steps she has been losing in speed and strength are apparent. And her always present technical flaws are more present than ever. This only augmented by her inconsistency in her performances. That said, Andrade still has good qualities. She still is a very big hitter with power in both hands and will throw her hooks in combination. She can also punish the body to great effect. When she remembers to, she can use leg kicks well, and same goes for head movement, which has been hit or miss. Andrade is good at tracking opponents against around the cage, doubling her hooks, but her pressuring footwork falls apart once she starts exchanging and has trouble staying on top of opponents. She has good takedown defense against the fence, and her strength allow her to get hard underhooks. Plus, her footwork and head positioning are on point. Andrade historically has been frustrated by good movers on the outside and clinches in open space. Her shin seems to not be at its best anymore, but the cardio seems to be holding on still. Despite no apparent conditioning issues, though, her volume has also become inconsistent. Against her, we have Lupi Godinez, a stocky, powerful athlete with a wrestling background. On the feet, she's mostly a boxer who leverages her takedown threat with level changes. Godinez is the owner of a solid jab, and she can follow it up with looping shots from both hands with decent power. The 1-2 is her best lead, and she has some solid counter ideas with the left hook. She can change things up with elbows when being pressured, and she's good at converting her hooks into collar ties to land knees in transition. Her defense isn't very nuanced, but she does a good job of mixing her high guard with lean backs to throw counters or collapse into clinches to remain safe. A powerful wrestler, Godinez has a variety of takedowns under her sleeve. She can shoot in open space reactively, turning the corner well on her double leg, but she's also quick to transition to trips from the clinch if denied initially. Against the cage, she's also strong and can find takedowns with her variety of trips or changing levels to her sound single leg. Godinez can be heavy from top position and passes well, but has struggled to mix her ground pound with her control. She will attack submissions in transitions though, being a good back taker and has used the arm triangle a couple of times as well. Lupi is a decently well put together fighter, is tough, athletic, and conditioned. Her main problem is that she can run out of ideas because of her lack of depth, and she can lose dynamism and surprise factor as fights go long. So, Andrade is back at 115 after some lackluster performances against contenders at 125. She won her last two fights at strawweight, and I've been saying that she should stay at this weight class at this stage of her career. But it seems like Andrade is willing to fight anyone as long as she's getting a paycheck. Lupi, on the other hand, has had inconsistent results in her UFC run, though losing close fights to Mackenzie Dern and Rishi has aged pretty well. Andrade remains a physical force at 115, so it will be interesting to see if Godinez is able to take her down. As Andrade's reactions become slower, this gets more likely. Lupi's no slouch boxing and has decent pop, so she's not completely lost if this remains on the feet. But I think that at the end of the day, picking Godinez is mostly an age pick, which at this stage is completely justified. But I haven't seen Andrade lose this exact matchup at this weight class yet. And while Godinez is good, I feel the fight is forgiving for an old version of the former champion. Lupi will engage at the places Andrade wants to fight, And as her dynamism with takedown lessons, the longer the fight goes, the better the chances are for Andrade. Lupi can win here. She can get takedowns, or maybe Andrade just doesn't throw enough. But I think I can still trust Jessica in this particular matchup, so I'm picking her to win a decision. Jikarasu, my man. Okay, let me get back to the chat here. James Kendrick, I heard from other people that covered the sport that Lupe is some sort of war beater, but when she fought Birna, Dern, and Hill, she came in with terrible game plans. Um, I feel like Lupe is very skilled, man. To be quite honest. One problem that Lupe has though is that she's a tank. She's like, but she's still a bit undersized for the weight class, and I feel like she hasn't optimized her game to be a small fighter. And when it comes to game plans, like she fights out of lower gym, and like lower gym has a few like very good qualities. I don't hate it as much as other people, but like game planning is not a strong suit. Like they are sometimes good at finding good tactics into fights, but I don't quite feel like they know how to game plan, to be quite honest. And I feel like the boxing from lower gym has also deteriorated with time. I feel like everyone in the gym has become more of a like an MMA generalist for some reason, and they used to be more of a boxing specialist in that gym, and you can tell because like the boxing of Alexa Grasso has like regressed quite a bit. She has gotten better in other areas of MMA, right? Like I'm not saying like that Grasso is like bad. She's a better kicker right now. She has like better awareness of how to win a fight, I guess. And she's also a way better grappler. But as a boxer, like you go and watch like early career Alexa Grasso, her hands were so much better, man. I don't know if she was sparring more or dedicating more time to boxing, but she used to be a better boxer straight up. And I feel like Irene Aldana is also playing a more like pared down game right now. She used to get into long combinations inside the pocket, and now that's it feels like it's not there anymore. Samir Arnett says last year Go said on Cagecraft podcast that Lupi is vulnerable to the jab because her main defense is to blood forwards and high guard. Uh, is that negligible here since Andrade doesn't jab like Dern? Andrade can jab sometimes, not consistently at all, and I wish she did because when she jabs, like you can tell she has a lot of power there, man. But yeah, that's a very good read by Ghost. Mark Berry says Andrade being somewhat similar sized than Lupi, and actually moving down to 115 gonna help her mildly in the pocket, and hopefully she can show some more strength in close. Yeah, I feel like that's why I feel like she's a bad matchup here. Matua we have here. I miss the Andrade that would throw 40 strikes in one round and 30 in the subsequent rounds. Yeah, that was when Andrade was like throwing crazy volume and she had great cardio. It was fantastic, man. I love watching Jessica Andrade in her prime. Will this look like Suarez versus Andrade? I hear from Jack Slack she's the smaller version of Suarez. Nah, I feel like uh Orange Cat, I'm from Chile. I don't feel like calling Lupi like smaller version of Suarez is quite right. They have like different wrestling styles to begin with. And Lupi because she's small, like she's more a lot more of a boxer, while Suarez is like an outside kicker from Southpaw, right? And she's very long. And then the wrestling styles, I don't see it, man. They are like both good wrestlers, but I don't agree with the similarities there. I usually agree with Jack Slack, but I don't see it. Like why what is blood bluffing about here, man? Feel like Lobo and their fighters are set on making a single game plan and don't come in with a solid backup plan. Yeah, pretty much. They are so lacking in adaptability. They just do the same shit like over and over, and sometimes it's like the correct shit, so it works. And they are skilled. Like fighters from Lovo Gym are not like unskilled, but they sometimes they come with the right tactics into a fight, and other times they are like a bit of a mess, right? Like some other times they do not bring like the best ideas into a fight. It's a very hit and miss. Uh, I think Luby used to like cross train in Canada. I'm not sure if she's still doing that, but maybe she should. Like I know that Diego Lopez is doing like a lot of work in Texas, so he's not like exclusively a Lobo Gym guy anymore. And Diego Lopez himself, like not crazy adaptable, just like very very skilled in a lot of areas and very dangerous. Okay, let's get into the next one here. Oh, our next fight is contested at middleweight, just like our main event, and it involves Bisengur Susurkayev against Eric Nolan. So Susurkayev, a confident undefeated kickboxer, 9-0 in his pro career. Susurkayev saw action just 2 days ago when he got a contract in Contender Series with a front kick to the body. Susurkayev fights with his hands down, looking to establish kicking range. While he will feint with the hands and occasionally jab, he does most of his range management and long range scoring with leg kicks and snap kicks to the body. A very flexible kicker, he will attack all three levels with both legs with roundhouses and front kicks. Not a slouch with the hands though, so Surkayev packs power, has a long one too, and a dangerous left hook that he can also throw to the body. Dangerous flying knees are also part of his game. Defense relies mostly on his very good spacing, but he will throw a high elbow guard to deal with punches from up close. He's at his most vulnerable when standing combinations as he doesn't move his head much and he keeps his chin up high. A solid wrestler and grappler on top of it, Susurkayev has been very hard to take down with quick hips in open space. Inside the clinch, his incredible balance is complemented by solid grip fighting and a very strong whizzer. And when he has space, he will attack with nasty elbows and knees to dissuade level changes. He can be too patient for his own good inside the clinch at times, though, to the point of being passive. Susurkayev has also shown some grappling shots of his own, with wizard kicks inside the clinch and nasty ground and pound when he scrambles to top position. While he fights with a relaxed demeanor, he does throw a lot of big strikes, and it took a toll on his gas tank the only time that he went to a decision. Other than that, his only apparent flaws are on his limited striking defense and willingness to spend time with his back against the fence. Against him, we have Eric Nolan. He's the current CFFC welterweight champion. Nolan also takes the fight in very short notice, but a weight class up. He's mostly a counter puncher. He packs power in both hands, but his bread and butter is the left hook. To get the exchanges he wants, he pressures opponents to the cage behind leg kicks. Jab entries into big right hands and kicks to all three levels allow him to score and draw offense against fighters not willing to engage. He has solid defense, he gets low, hide behind his lead shoulder, and uses an effective active high guard. And this is complemented by solid footwork mechanics and his counter threat. Takedown defense has been mostly solid, he's the owner of good hips and has good reactions when controlling the initiative. And he can also threaten with a high elbow guillotine to revert position or force stand-ups. Chain wrestling against the cage has been a concern though, and from bottom he mostly focuses on avoiding damage over urgency to get up. Nolan is only 4 years and 11 fights into his career. He seems to have a well put together game with solid technique and athleticism, but there's a lot of question marks around him. So Surkai becomes the first fighter to debut immediately after his Contender Series signing. Opposed to him, we have Eric Nolan, who also took the fight on 4 days' notice. A lot of X factors going into this one, as Surkayev is the one coming with a fight camp, but will be cutting weight for the second time in the week. Nolan, on the other hand, is a career welterweight, taking this in very short notice. Nolan is a big puncher with nothing to lose. The chances he puts the Russian out, especially if he's compromised by the weight cut, is not negligible. That said, the UFC obviously loves Susurkayev, and if they are making this fight, they might know something we don't, maybe regarding the weight cut. Nolan is not a particularly big welterweight, and while his counterpunching could prove troublesome for Susurkayev, it is hard to not see him stuck at long range behind the variety of nasty kicks from the Russian kickboxer. It really is an anything can happen scenario, but I think I'm going with a knockout in round two for the Russian. Susurkayev wins here. Okay, let me get to the chat. Matua says Nolan, USA in this hole. Is adaptability the hardest attribute in MMA? Can you lack skills in different areas but still be adaptable with ideas? Yeah, I mean that kind of like describes like Drigos Duplessis in some way. Like Duplessis doesn't have like a wide variety of techniques to his dispose, but he's very adaptable actually. Like Duplessis knows how to with very limited skill set. He knows what to do in a lot of situations. I feel like he's a very adaptable fighter. He's kind of smart too, weirdly because he fights like a very stupid guy. So Surkai, if dexterity is impressive, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like he's getting into that situation where he gets his high kick caught and people try to take him down. He gets into that like all the time, and he's never gets taken down. Eric Waipo Atan Nolan. Hey, what's up, Lucas? My dude. Beyonce looks really damn good, fast hands, and really knows what he's doing in the takedown defense. Worry about the weight cut too because he needed the box for Tuesday. Oh, he did. I thought maybe he was like couldn't wait twice because he had like an easy cut, man. That's crazy, man. That because usually you do like the water loading and the weight cut like over like 7 days. If you're doing a big weight cut, like I don't know what how he's doing it, man. He's probably like water loading right now to get rid of all of it. Like, oh no, the weigh-ins are tomorrow. So he was probably like the moment that Dana told him that he was going to fight on Saturday. He probably started water loading there, and he's probably like trying to shed water like crazy right now. I hope they don't do Nolan dirty and like Susurkayev shows up at like 190 because like as I said, like Nolan is not that big of a welterweight. Like he's not a lightweight, but he's just like a decently sized welterweight. He's not a huge guy. So fighting like an overweight middleweight would be crazy. Jin Karasu, body kicks or body punches? Which do you like better? Oh man, that's so hard, man. I love like a to be quite honest, I love a left kick to the body, like but a roundhouse. I'm like a roundhouse kind of guy. Like for sure, like front kicks are very good too. Front kicks are objectively very good strike, but like front kicks to the body don't get me like there's not like the neuron activation there, right? I go crazy when I see like a beautiful switch kick to the body or a southpaw just kicking the body. Like I love that, man. I love that. I love seeing a big kick to the body like a roundhouse. But you guys know me. You guys know me like I'm left hook to the body is like my favorite strike of them all, so I gotta go with punches, I think. Um Mark Berry uses the wizard really well in takedown defense, which work against Talha. Yeah, pretty much. Straight rights to the body are my best friends. I like straight rights to the body as an idea a lot, but they don't get me like super excited to be honest. It's not like there's nothing quite like seeing like a big left hook to the body, man. Love that shit. Let's get to the next one. No, I'll say without headphones for this one. Okay. We stay at middleweight as we have a fight between Gerard Meerschaert and Michal Oleksiejczuk. So Meerschaert, a veteran of 56 fights. Meerschaert is a southpaw BJJ specialist on the feet. He fights well behind the 1-2 and a very heavy left kick that he throws to the body and legs. Despite his plodding footwork, he moves well on the outside and can move opponents into shots, finding counter lefts and a wide right hook. When controlling the initiative, he's effective at leaning back and pivoting to avoid offense, but his reactions and mechanics can fall apart when pushed back with low combinations. Meerschaert is also decently strong in the clinch and can surprise with wide hooks and elbows during breaks. He can also surprise with reactive takedowns when moving opponents into shots, and he's also good at finding trips inside the clinch. While solid defending takedowns for the most part, he can be surprised in open space when being set up with strikes. He can also get reverse going for takedowns inside the clinch. From top position, he has very good control and passing, help with damaging ground and pound. He's an opportunistic submission threat from basically any position on the mat, with his guillotine and rear naked choke being his most trustworthy finishers. From his back, he's good at creating movement and finding sweeps, with his deep half game being of note. Age has become a factor for Meerschaert, whose lack of speed has been further affected by his reaction time. Cardio has also been hit and miss in the later part of his career. Against him, we have Michal Oleksiejczuk, a southpaw pressure fighter. Michal likes to walk down his foes behind his high guard, moving his head side to side, feigning hands, or looking to jab and line up his left hand, which he can throw wide or straight. Defense is not great, but he keeps in motion and is good at seeing shots coming, and his ability to parry kicks from his high guard is very useful to push foes to the fence. Once against the fence, he's a dangerous combination puncher, measures with his jabs, and unloads with uppercuts and body shots that pile up damage quick. His defense also gets better when he's throwing against the fence, rolling and hiding behind his shoulders to avoid big counters. Oleksiejczuk is deceptively strong defending takedowns, denying shots with whizzers and underhooks, and showing heavy hips and a quick sprawl when needed. He has been vulnerable to well-timed shots squaring his hips in the past though. A serviceable grappler, he can expose his back getting back up against the fence when wall walking. If he finds himself in top position, he has brutal ground and pound, being notably good at landing hard shots inside the close guard of his opponents. Oleksiejczuk has looked past his best since dropping to 185, but he remains tough and conditioned. His one-note approach and Yankee mechanics has cost him in the past. So this is a fight between southpaw veterans. Uh, Despite his 29 fight career, Oleksiejczuk is still only 30 years old, contrasted with Meerschaert, who is 37 here. The Polish fighter is coming with the momentum, ending his losing streak, finishing Cedric Dumas in his first fight under the Fighting Nerds brand. The American, on the other hand, is on a two-fight losing streak, looking quite frankly old against Renner the Reader and fellow veteran Brad Tavares. Michal has 6 career losses to submission, which fares poorly against the staggering 29 submission wins by GM3. That said, Oleksiejczuk has been hard to take down, and you would expect a smarter approach by his new game plan driven gym. This is a close stance matchup that I feel favors the more natural striker in Oleksiejczuk, especially considering how GM3 often uses the open stance matchup to mask some of his speed deficiencies. It is still a dangerous fight for the Polish fighter, as the ground will be a dangerous place here. But I think that if he plays a committed pressuring game with emphasis on takedown defense, he can get it done. So taking a risk here, I'm picking Oleksiejczuk by round 1 knockout here. Okay, let's get into the fight here. I mean, into the chat here. A jack weight fight for sure, man. Both guys, like, I love these guys, but they're very janky, man. Oh, you're what are you writing, Dr. Jones? Is it like a novel or what? Looney Tunes Spike. This one is going. You know, any way this one finishes, and I love these guys. I'm really am a fan of both like Gerard Meerschaert and Michel Oleksiejczuk. By the way, this might be the first. I actually just realized. Uh, GM3 versus Oleksiejczuk might be the first UFC fight. In which both guys follow me on Twitter. I just realized that both of these guys follow me, so they're certified boys, man. Because like Jack Slack, he's followed by a lot of fighters, but following me, that's for the actual like real nerds, right? Does Meerschaert have bad eyes? Um, maybe. I don't know. I've seen Meerschaert like evade like some very cool strikes. To be honest, like I'm not sure he has bad eyes. It's like the reactions are getting slower now that he's older. To be honest, Matua says Mitchell beats the brakes of GM3. Maybe, but if he gets to the ground, like he's cooked here. But I'm counting on Mitchell, on Michal winning here. Okay, guys, before moving to the main card, let's remember that we have merge. So remember to get your merch, man. We have a new store in Fourth Wall. I'm going to comment the. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now, and you can get your designs over here. This one is a new one. It's Fight Week with a hype Joel Romero. No one tell him that I'm selling this, please. He's going to kill me. But yeah, just get hype from Monday with the It's Fight Week shirt. We also had the Dutch combo that who was it? Was it James Kendrick that mentioned it earlier? But yeah, this is a cool design. It has the colors of the Deutschland and not Deutschland. This is Germany, man. This is Netherlands with the Netherlands flag, and it just says like the classic combination: straight right, left hook to the body, outside leg kick, cool stuff. And we have the classic, the body punching crew. Get your body punching crew T-shirt. Oh, it was you, Rio Sosa. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Get your body punching crew T-shirt. And remember that we also had this user checks leg kick with original pixel art, but yours truly, because remember that I'm a pixel art artist. Also, not only an MMA genius. But yeah, get your merch. Links in the description. If you want to support me and get something in return, you can always head over to the store and get something, guys. If you buy something, I will always appreciate you. Let's get into the main card now. Okay. Main card. And with that, we get to the main card. The opener is a flyweight bout between Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura. So, after failing to win the UFC title in his debut against Alexander Pantoja, Kai Asakura gets long-time divisional staple Tim Elliott. It has to be noted that Asakura, despite being a kickboxer by trade, was submitted for the first time in his career by the champion. Tim Elliott doesn't have the immediate submission threat of Pantoja or the suffocating control of Hiromasa Ogikubo, but he does have the wrestling chops, durability, and pace that he brings to the table. Um, And Elliott showed that he can still deal with long strikers in his last bout, submitting Sumaderji inside the round. That was almost 2 years ago, though, and Elliott, at 38 years old and 16 years into his career, might experience a drop off at any time. This dude has been fighting for like half his life, man. And it's not like he has been immune to years, with inconsistent results in the later stage of his career and inconsistent performances as well. We've seen like some weird performances from Team Elliott, like some very like striking heavy ones where he like wrestles a lot but doesn't strike. It's kind of like a common thing between all fighters. That being said, it has to be noted that the American has historically lost to fighters who can match him in the grappling department. Asakura might not be that, but he's still a very dangerous fighter with size, athleticism, and capable takedown defense and scrambling abilities. Kaya Sakura is no stranger to being taken down and controlled, and most of the time he still finds a way to get back up and do more damage than his opponent. The Japanese shot selection is also worrying for the American here, as his big leg kicks, knees down the middle, and uppercuts might punish some of the habits of Elliott. Elliott has been vulnerable to leg kicks, and his tendency to sleep deep might get him eating an uppercut, knee, or a head kick here. It is winnable for Elliott for sure. As I said, we've seen Asakura taken down and controlled in the past, and Elliott is no slouch on the feet either. But the age and the long layoff give me pause here. I expect Asakura to be the more damaging fighter. I still trust Elliott's durability. I feel like if someone can finish it, it's probably Asakura, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And obviously, we're not expecting Asakura to find a submission here. So I'm going with the Japanese fighter Kaya Sakura to win by decision. Okay, let's get back to the chat here. Dominic Cruz on meth versus man who isn't allowed to. Asakura is so nasty on the rising rules, man. Like he might get taken down like 20 times, but the second he can like knee your head is on the ground or soccer kick you, he's going to do it. Like I love that shit. I like Asakura a lot, but ever since I found out that pound for pound analysis is a stand of him, I root for him to lose. Hey, I've been there, man. I've been there. I'm a hater, man. I love it when he has hate in his heart. It fuels my fandom. Mark Berry says Elliot actually looked really good in his last four, but feel like his speed might fall off a cliff with the knee injuries. Elliot isn't really a specialist anywhere. Like yeah, he's like a weird like in between Pantoja and Ogikubo while not being as good at either of them in their particular like parts. I don't feel like he's even like a better wrestler. Like maybe a better mat wrestler than Pantoja, but not that Ogikubo. But yeah, I feel like Elliot the grappling style is not very good for Asakura. Because Asakura, he has those explosions, he can get back to his feet. And Asakura is going to be like inflicting pain on Team Elliot, especially if Team Elliot looks any old here, he might be in danger. Dodson versus Team Elliot, an all-time comedy banger. I don't remember that one, man. I know that Dodson won because like Dodson wins every fight, but I don't remember, man. Okay, let's get into the next one. Oh, I kind of hate this one. Maybe, I think. Once again, we have a middleweight bout. This time, we have a fight between Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page MVP. So we have a weird matchup of strikers as career welterweight and karate stylist MVP faces off against MMA Labs Jared Cannonier. MVP finds himself in the right side of the age equation for the first time since coming to the UFC, as the 38 years old is 3 years younger than Cannonier. Both come with almost the same amount of fights, 25 for MVP, 26 for Jared, but it's clear that MVP has absorbed less damage over his career, especially considering Cannonier last four as he got badly hurt in all of them. Age has affected both fighters though, as MVP plays a slower game and has pared down the dynamic kicking offense that made him a viral sensation a decade ago. Path to victory for Canyoneer should be pretty straightforward here. Use his powerful leg kicks to track retreats and debase the Englishman. Attack with long shots to the body and tries to force him into exchanges to find the punches to the head eventually. Work takedowns only if available, and if he gets on top, let go with his damaging ground and pound. When it comes to MVP, you know what he's going to do, and he will enjoy the length advantage that he likes in this matchup. He will stay long, poke with sidekicks, feint a lot, and look for spots to explode with his sleeping left hand. While I think Canyoneer and his camp are usually smart, I feel like this older version of him is susceptible to the smoke and mirrors of MVP, especially if he's lured into throwing low volume or gets convinced he needs to sell out for takedown attempts to win. The chances of either man hurting the other one at range are not small either. They both have dangerous mix of accuracy and power, and the years aren't in vain. I think that Canyoneer gets lured into a low volume affair and get his takedowns denied in the clinch in a lackluster fight in which he might take a round finding something. Hope I'm wrong about the dynamic of the fight, but I think that MVP wins a decision here. Okay. Um Dr. Jones staring contest with occasional punches. Yeah, that's I feel like it's going to be that, right? Cannon Man is so cool when he does things, and somehow MVP has actually been fun in the UFC. Yeah, I agree with that, man. James Kendrick says, does MVP have the weirdest career? He fought mostly cans in Bellator, but when he got to the UFC, he's actually looked better against legit competition compared to the Bellator fighters who have fought better competition than MVP. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, man. It's very weird because like I gotta say, man, I was a massive MVP hater when he was coming up. All I wanted was for him to lose. When Diego Lima knocked him out, I was like through the roof, man. I was like so happy when Diego Lima nuked MVP. And then Diego Lima proceeded to himself become one of the most boring fighters in the world. But yeah, but then MVP won me over because like MVP won me over because he was actually good. like like I was surprised. Like I was expecting like MVP to fight good fighters and start losing all the time. And then he got in like awful fights with a lot of good fighters, but he was not like losing most of them. And then I realized like, okay, MVP has this like style that is like 90% of the time is awful to watch, but he's actually a good fighter, and I gotta respect that. And the other thing is that MVP, like, for all the taunting and all the gimmicks and all the stupid shit that he does, and all the throwing pokeballs and a guy that has a broken skull, MVP is one of like the nicest guys in MMA, man. Like legit wholesome guy MVP. MVP rules, man. Like, if you ever listen to an MVP interview, he's like the coolest dude in MMA. Like, no joke. Uh, will forever have my appreciation for auditing Shara Bullet. I said this on Sound and Pound with Ray Riggs. MVP has fought mostly Gans and Kevin Holland. Yo, we have Dan Tom. Hey, I forgot, man. I know you weren't here for the Araujo one, but I did not. I not did an Araujo. So this one is for you, Dan Tom. Araujo. Okay, let's go. We gotta get the reference to the protect your neck, man. I didn't even break Araujo. I just mentioned her in the who was it in the card that fought that fought Araujo, man. I don't know, man, but I cannot mention Viviani Araujo without the howling for my boy Dan Tom. Anyway, let's move to the next one here. Oh, oh, and next we have a welterweight bout. We have Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. So we have a Southpaw versus Southpaw striking affair here between power punchers Neal and Prates. Prates is the longer and more kicking oriented of the two, while also being 3 years younger than Neal. Neal, on the other hand, comes with less fights, 22 versus Prates 28, and Prates on top of that has a kickboxing and Muay Thai experience. But Neal has less fights, but more experience against high level opposition. This being a close stance matchup is also very interesting. In some ways, I feel like Pratis is better equipped for it as he's the more active jabber of the two and a good leg kicker, while Neil relies a lot more on open side changeups and double attacks. Both guys have good variety in punch selection with the left hand, which will give them chances to land against a fellow southpaw. What I mean with that is that both guys like can throw the left in the form of like a straight, an overhand, a rear hook, an uppercut. So that's always good to have when you find yourself in a close stance matchup, because a lot of guys like cannot find the straight left in the close stance and they like kind of fall apart. Pratis has an advantage with the jab, as already mentioned, and he has a more present right hook as well. Neil is really like kind of a like one arm fighter. With Pratis being longer and having the lead hand on top of his kicks and knees, I think it is normal to expect him to land at a higher clip here. He gotta be careful, especially when fighting knees though, because Neil will counter on a hair trigger. The clinch and grappling are other interesting avenues. Pratis is historically the much more damaging fighter against the cage. Neil is a solid grappler and has shown good ground and pound, but Pratis has been very hard to take down. Neil himself has been virtually impossible to take down, so I don't think Pratis will even try much. Another thing to consider here is that Pratis might go to orthodox to open up his open side attacks, but that would be a double-edged sword against the natural southpaw in Neil, right? Historically, we gotta consider that Neil has struggled with longer fighters who remain active, losing to a variety of them actually in Ian Gary, Wonderboy, Shavkat Drakhmanov, even going back into his career. He lost back in the day to Kevin Holland in his only knockout loss of his career. So that's something that, despite the years, that's an stylistic thing that has not changed much for Jeff Neal. And we could also forget that Pratis, just like Neal, is a huge puncher in his own right. So it's not like Neal um is the only one likely to win a round with a big moment here. I think that Pratis has like two clear advantages here. Neil might have like some boxing advantage, and that's always valuable in a close distance matchup. But I think that Pratis will take advantage of the length, the lead hand, the kicking, and maybe even the clinch, and he will win a decision here. I feel it's kind of crazy because like I feel like this pay per view is like full of guys that are very dangerous, and I'm picking like basically decisions in all the fights, man. 22 laser. Okay, let me get back to the chat. We have the Protect Your Neck crew active forever, man. I appreciate you guys, especially being here, and it's always special when we have Dan Tom around, man, because he's the man. Gustavo Fearing, man. I want like some fried chicken right now, man. Don't you ever get tired of MMA? How do you keep breaking down every card in detail? Don't you ever feel like taking a few months off? Um, well, to be quite honest with you, like I'm making a bit of money with this, so obviously that's big motivation. Like like I have people that supports me for doing this, so I cannot stop it. Like I would I like to take a break from MMA? I don't know, man. Like I actually like a very big fan of MMA. I get tired a lot of like the UFC being shit, man. The UFC politics, the fans. There's a lot that I don't like, but when it comes to the sport itself, I love MMA, man. I love watching MMA. Wish I had more time to train actually, because this takes like so much time away that I could be using for training actually. But yeah, man. Uh, I feel like I have been watching MMA for so long, man, and at times it's a drag, man. I feel like not that I hate MMA, but I get super tired making these previews. I feel like it's so much time consuming, and I sometimes have to watch like so many bad fights. Uh, I wish like I'm very old, man. I'm 35 right now. I don't even know how old I am, man. Um, so oh, you're a wrestler, McBurry? That's very cool, man. Yeah, man. I feel like I just like MMA a lot. I I actually. Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, even if I wanted to take a break, like I feel like I can't. I'm kind of tied up, but thankfully I'm not at that point yet. I'm not at that point yet, so gotta keep grinding, man. And the YouTube channel is doing great as of late. This one, this channel was like dead for years, and I'm like kind of making it work right now. So I'm very motivated about that. So and in MMA, like if you look, there's always like something interesting to look at. So oh man, Dr. Jones, that means so much to me, man. I appreciate it. Okay, is it time to co-main already, man? It is. Okay. We go to featherweight for our co-main event as we have Leron Murphy welcoming Aaron Pico to the UFC. So undefeated Murphy welcomes longtime blue chip prospect Aaron Pico to the UFC. Pico came to the attention of the MMA world as he got signed to Bellator back in 2014 with no previous MMA experience. Pico was an outstanding collegiate and freestyle wrestler, and he also began boxing at the age of 10. Instead of pursuing wrestling, he saw a career in MMA. After losing his debut in 2017, Pico is now 13-4 at only 28 years old, with a decent amount of high level experience. The 34-year-old Murphy, on the other hand, has never been defeated and comes into this fight of a main event victory against Josh Emmett. So, what does Pico bring to the table here? He's a power puncher that likes to walk people down, goes to the body a lot, and also attacks body and legs with kicks. He constantly mixes in the threat of the takedown, and while he's not great at controlling, he's the owner of Thunderous ground and pound. So, how does Murphy deal with all of this? First, Murphy is the superior jabber in the matchup, and that's on top of being the longer fighter, right? This will be key on allowing Murphy to not get trapped against the fence and get back to open space to control the initiative of the exchanges. He's also more active with feints, has a more nuanced footwork, and is a respectable power puncher of his own right. But we gotta remember that Murphy is undefeated but hasn't been perfect in his MMA career. He got dropped badly by Dan Ige 2 fights ago and was taken down against the fence by Ige and also Josh Emmett going for when he was going for his high guard against the fence. This looks like a fight where Pico marches forward and Murphy has to navigate around it. Murphy does have experience doing that though, and has the variety and the tactics to do it. His jab and also his intercepting elbows were a great tool against Josh Emmett that was looking to close the distance, and Pico leaps into range a fair amount. He can play longer with kicks and switch into southpaw to create angles for his exits as well. And in the case of being taken down, he has shown good grappling and scrambling ability to get back up, plus good wrestling defense, fighting grips against the fence. Pico, I think, is likely to have success early with a decent chance of a finish, as he's always one big moment away from winning a round as well. But I feel the experience against high level opposition, the level of activity, and nuance will swing things in favor of Murphy. I think that the British keeps himself in the middle of the cage, controls action with his jab, and lands more consistently for a decision victory and picking Lerone Murphy here. Hey, Joe Dog, what's up, man? Let me get back to the chat. MMA space so toxic at the sport. Yeah, I feel like it's very cool that we have streams that foster like a very cool community. Like obviously, like we still have jokes, we can still be edgy, but I feel like not being like toxic or bigoted comes a long way in being able to enjoy the sport with online friends, right? Is Pico Michael Chandler level athletic? I think like not quite, to be honest. Like Pico is a tremendous athlete, but like Chandler is insane, man. I feel like Pico is like for sure the more dangerous guy in the matchup. But at the same time, I feel like Pico has never fought like a guy with the nuance striking of Ron Murphy. Uh, I'm ready to be wrong in this fight, but but I also feel like Aaron Pico like doesn't like fighting athletes, and like Pico does like a lot of like insane like good stuff, but at the same time, I feel like he kind of lacks like connective tissue at times, and his defense is kind of like, eh. Yeah, I feel like that, Lucas. I feel like feel like LeBron Murphy is going to be like about to die at one moment, and then just goes back. I like Tissue Pico that like, okay, you can do like all the cool shit in the world, but I have a jab. I gotta do a jab T-shirt actually, man. It's funny because like, also jab is not a word in Spanish, right? So jab is not a word in Spanish. So when I was teaching, I was like a community class MMA coach for a few years. So I was teaching like these like teenage kids, right, how to fight. And I was like so like all the time like we'll begin this combination with the jab. Uh, we're going this with the jab, and I'm using the word jab, right? But jab doesn't mean anything else in Spanish. And jab just like means the punch. When in English you can use it for other stuff. It's more of like a normal word, right? So so I was like always talking about the jab during classes. So these kids, like these teenage kids, started calling me they called me jab. Did you ask Jab about this? Like, did you tell Jab that you are not going to class and shit? It's maybe one of the coolest. I mean, it's by for sure one of the coolest nicknames that I ever had. That they were calling me Jab. Nah, because they didn't know about that. But and shout out to my boy Sandra, man. My boy Jab Suda. Okay, let's jab about the main event here. Okay, because this one is going to go crazy. And with that, we get to the main event. Champion Dricus Duplessis defends his middleweight championship against undefeated Hamzat Chimaev. So, as with all Hamzat fights, a lot of unknowns involved here. He has shown against Kamaru Usman and Robert Whittaker that he can still impose his game against high level athletes with good takedown defense. But you gotta consider both Usman and Whittaker were past their primes when they fought the Chechen fighter. And Usman took the fight on very short notice while expecting to take a welterweight fight, so he didn't quite have the size. Usman and Gilbert Burns have also exposed how Chimaev's game isn't as dangerous when you don't play the wall walk game against the fence. Chimaev did show maturity in his Robert Whittaker fight, showing a more energy efficient game, not selling out for big mat returns or wide ground and pound. Dricus, on his part, has shown flashes of brilliant grappling and has probably the best mix of size, strength, and athleticism that Chimaev has faced so far, especially considering the age and wear and tear of the versions of Usman and Whittaker the Chechen face. While it is true, Dricus has found himself on his back numerous times against lesser wrestlers, he also has shown the ability to scramble back up, but you don't want to give Chimaev the chance to get the ball rolling to begin with. What Duplessis brings to the table, other than like the size, the strength, the athleticism, something that he brings to the table with consistency is good ideas about how to approach a fight and the ability to stick to what's working during a fight as well. If Dricus tries to stay in the middle of the cage and defend takedowns there in open space, he can force a stand-up battle, and we might have a fight here. If he stayed on the feet, though, it is not an auto win for Dricus either, as Chimaev has shown striking shots, and it's in a lot of ways the cleaner striker of the two. Dricus is obviously the more comfortable and experienced fighter here as a striker, but I feel like you cannot like just ignore that Chimaev is like a very quick guy with like solid mechanics, and Chimaev brings solid ideas to the striking. I feel like Chimaev, for example, like Chimaev is longer than Ricos Duplessis, and he has like a nasty jab. One of the best qualities that Chimaev has as a striker. He's a good jabber from both stances, and he always remembers to jab, and that can do so much for you. Chimaev also has like long snap kicks. He punches very hard too. Like, do you guys remember that knockout over Jeremy Richard? Crazy stuff. So Chimaev has some qualities on the feet. It's not like oh, you defended the takedown against Chimaev, fight's over. Like, obviously we have like very little sample size to measure the striking of Chimaev. First, we have like that knockout over Ikram Aliskerov, beautiful uppercut from range. He got to pivot after it as well for style points. Then he got that war with Burns, right? Okay, maybe like getting into a war with Gilbert Burns, that version of Gilbert Burns. I thought he looked pretty decent, but that was like an experienced striker, Chimaev, right? And he showed a lot of good stuff. He showed the ability to fight behind the jab, to calm down after getting scolded by his corner, which like he was getting crazy out there. But during that third round, he kind of like dialed it back, started fighting behind the jab. He was looking good at a lot of times, Chimaev there. And then we saw a little bit of we saw that knockout against GM3, and then Chimaev looked concerning a little bit in that Kamaru Usman fight, but I think that Chimaev thought that he had the fight on the scorecards maybe, and he was like coasting, which like you don't actually want to do against Rikus. So when I say that Rikus is the more comfortable striker here, is that first Chimaev kind of tense on the feet. Um, Chimaev knows how to shoulder roll behind his lead shoulder, but he still does it like kind of low, and he got get clip in the like higher part of his head. Being tense is bad to absorb shots too. It's better to like flow with them and rolling. And Chimaev, you can tell like he's like a ball of like tense energy. He's not like super fluid. And like Dricus when he's getting hit, he's kind of relaxed. Like he doesn't have great defense. He usually looks very awkward because I don't know why Dricus stands like that, man. Like he puts on like the double forward guard and he takes shots very well. He's very durable, man. And Ricos is like not invincible. He has been hurt. He was hurt bad in that people forget. Ricos was hurt bad on the feet by Trevin Jones. I mean, not Trevin Jones. Is it Trevin Giles, the guy that who later dropped to welterweight? And he came back with that insane knockout there in the on the counter. But there's where Ricos like shows his comfort on the feet is when he has this ability to like put kicks at the end of combinations, of covering up and counter, of remember to jab as well. That Ricus like has some good jabbing habits, like we saw in that fight against Robert Whitaker, right? So and Ricus like hits hard, and he has very good cardio. We don't know about the cardio of Chimaev yet. Like to be honest, like that fight against Gilbert Burns was insane. Like both guys were super tired at the end, but to be honest, like that was good cardio by Chimaev. Like a lot of people are like, oh, Chimaev sells out on the cardio in the first round, and then he's going to be dead. And maybe against Usman it was a bit like that. Maybe there was a bit of coasting. Um, but Chimaev showed like good heart and good cardio there. Those are good qualities to have and to bring to a title fight. So I think there's a chance that this like becomes like a war. Like it is a crazy war because like Chimaev might not have the confidence, the comfort, the experience on the feet, but he does have some good habits. He's well schooled. He throws heat, man. Hands up, Chimaev, man. So there's a chance. So let's explore like the possible scenarios here because like this fight is insanely unpredictable. There's a very big chance that this fight is not good, but it is very compelling because like you don't know. what's going to happen. First, because you have Dricus, and with Dricus, you never know what you're getting, right? I mean, you kind of know, but you're still surprised when you see it. And on the other hand, you have Chimaev, who, despite having some very high level wins, he's still somewhat of an unknown commodity here. So, first a scenario that it's completely possible here. Chimaev drops down for the double leg, gets Dracos in a wall walk mat return loop against the cage. He just takes the back, submits him, wins the fight. Okay, that's one scenario. Then you have scenario number two. Both guys can get an early knockout. Like both guys hits hard. Neither had break. Neither have great defense. A nasty knockout super early. That's a big chance for that too. So let's get into what happens if that doesn't happen. Like the most obvious, like early finishes one. Okay, what if Drico survives a few rounds against the cage? Like he gets his back taken, he somewhat survives. Does Chimaev get super tired and gets worked over the next few rounds? Very possible, actually. Very possible. We've seen Chimaev like bank it out for 3 rounds against Gilbert Burns, but he didn't sell out for the wrestling in that one during the first round, right? So there's the other scenario where Dricus mounts the comeback after Chimaev gets his like classic start. Then we have another scenario where Dricus actually keeps his feet in the center of the cage. He defends takedowns there. He gets taken down a few times. He's able to get back up or style Chimaev, doesn't take a lot of damage. And then we have rounds of kickboxing. I feel in this scenario it's not as likely that Chimaev gets tired because he will not go crazy for the finish, I feel, in the middle of the cage. We saw that against Usman. And Chimaev is a lot more confident of playing the mat return game and looking for the back to get the rear naked choke when he is against the fence. Against Kevin Holland, I feel like he went crazy because he felt like he could do whatever to Kevin Holland. He was still getting tired with all the scrambling, so I'm not quite sure. But if Dricus gets it on the feet, we might get that kickboxing match. And then, like, obviously we favor Dricus, but I feel like we cannot discount Chimaev, right? And maybe Chimaev like has improved as a transition fighter, and that would be another thing to consider. What if Chimaev like gets a few takedowns in a few rounds, a few key takedowns in a few rounds, and wins a decision? I feel like a lot of people are like saying this is impossible, but I actually feel like there's a chance. There's a chance like Chimaev doesn't need much to transform into like a transition fighter because his shot is so fast. So what if Chimaev comes out more conservative? We already saw improvements in Chimaev's energy expenditure against Robert Whittaker. I feel he was not going for big leaps. He was like just systematically attacking posts and using rights against the fence. Whittaker was like very careful about not giving up his back, so he just kept like ankle right, wrist right, uh, ground pound, but not going crazy with the ground pound because you know Shimai when he wants to go crazy with the ground pound, that shit goes hard. But it was like a lot more methodical. So this is what I'm envisioning here because at the end of the day, like to predict a fight like this, you just gotta like run simulations on your head and just pick one. So I'm going with a very crazy pick here. Chimaev will come out. He will be able to take down Dricus. I feel like Dricus will be able to survive. They will get into some crazy striking exchanges down the line. Um, I feel like Dricus might take some rounds with more consistent output, be the more comfortable striker. But this is where I'll go like with the insane prediction here. I think that Chimaev will be able to get takedowns in the later rounds, and he will be able to like get top control, land some hard shots, clutch a few ones, and I feel like Chimaev will win a decision. We're going with that, okay? And that's the prediction. I wanted to go crazy with this one, man, because like I tried, man. Like, do I really want to pick like Chimaev by first round? Like, there's a chance, right? And I feel like the decision, like everyone sees like the Dricus one, man. Yeah, even yes, I'm seeing that one, man. I'm seeing like being a close fight. Like I don't know, man. These guys have like crazy energy. I don't know. There's something that tells me that this is not going to be like a. I feel like it's not a guarantee because like Chimaev packs power, is fast, has a good jab, he's long, and like, what if like Chimaev is like tagging Duplessis on the feet? Like, what is the answer that Ricos finds here? Because like he cannot wrestle in this one unless Chimaev is like dead tired. And even if Chimaev is dead tired, like I I really don't think that you can wrestle like Hamza Chimaev. Yeah, it's gonna be everyone's going to get onto that um like that meme about like Jack Slack and Pierre Yan fans, like oh Pierre Yan's by destruction, and then you and then they go to get the calculator to demonstrate that Pierre Yan won. I feel like I feel like both fanboys of Dricus and Chimaev were going to get, of Dricus and Chimaev are going to get into that, man. So yeah, that's the prediction. Let me get it back a bit with the chat here, and we'll wrap things up for the podcast, and we'll leave it at that. Brian Fierce here is Fierce. Oh yeah. Who you got fighting for the lightweight title next? To be quite honest, I'd be fine with the Paddy fight. Like it would be huge. And like Paddy is like, we expect Paddy to die at the hands of Topuria, but at the same time, like Paddy nowadays huge lightweight, right? Insanely durable too, and maybe he can wear with the size. He can take it to the ground. I would not pick Paddy. Like I pick like for example this fight like Shimai versus Ricos. I had to like do some mental gymnastics to make a pick. In a Paddy versus Ilya, I would pick Ilya in an instant. But I would still tell you that Paddy has a shot. Like one thing is having a pick because like it's the logical thing, but then you gotta like in MMA you always gotta consider what kind of shot the other guy has, because at a high level, if a guy is like good enough, the other guy always has a shot, even if it is very small. And I think like Paddy's shot is not that small. I would pick Topuria like immediately. But like if you make a good argument for Paddy, I would not call you a stupid or something. In most cases, I think you can argue like for whoever a fight, and if you do it right, like you're not dumb. I feel like dragging people just for a pick. Yeah, for a pick. I just said a pick and I found a guitar pick. That's funny. Um, I think like most of the time, like 99% of the time, you cannot just drag on someone just for a pick. Like obviously, like you're not choosing CM Punk over Ilya Topuria, but we never get fights like that in the UFC, right? I think like people get too much shit to each other just for picks. And I think like that's kind of stupid. But yeah, I feel like you in MMA you can pick whatever, man. If your reasons are bad, like I will make fun of you. But if you like had good arguments, like you can, if you want to tell me like actually Jared Gordon is going to be like just engaging, like okay, cool, I support you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people get like too invested in the value of picks, and picks at the end of the day don't mean much. I don't say that to save face when I get like this whole pay per view wrong. Actually, that I think I've never had like a whole event wrong in topology. I think I had quite a few like super bad ones in the past, like only two correct ones. But I had like quite a few events where I predict like all the fights right. So so yeah, but I don't give much weight to picks. Like come back to me when you have like five perfect event picks, and I would tell you, okay, now you know something, because like the chances of that happening are very low, and there's a reason that has never happened in topology's history. But but yeah, I'll get to wrap up the podcast, the recorded version, and I'll get back to the chat, guys. So and with that, we wrap up the pay per view. So how good is this one? No, actually, it's pretty decent. The main event, as I said during the breakdown, is very, very compelling, and I think like we're going to, maybe it's not like good quality, and it might be good quality too. Like I'm not, when I say it might not be good quality, I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad fight, right? I'm just saying that there's a chance that it's like super one sided, but I feel like whatever happens in the fight, we're going to have a good time watching it. I feel. Then we have like co-main event is insanely compelling, like Laurent Murphy versus Aaron Pico, fantastic fight. Very excited to see Pico in the UFC. Um, and it's a very interesting debut, man. I feel like Laurent Murphy brings some more interesting stuff that maybe Evloev in some aspects. So I'm very excited about that one. So let's, now that I mentioned those fights, like why don't we get? I'll give you like a quick opinion on the fights and not outside the breakdowns. Going back, going down. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. I don't think that Prates is going to allow Jeff Neal to have a boring fight. Now, we know that both of these guys have like terrible fights with Ian Gary, but we know these guys are capable of bangers. Like just remember when Prates was killing people, or when Jeff Neal fought Shavkat Rakhmonov. So I think these guys are going to put on a good fight, and I think that the Sopa versus Southpaw always is kind of like sketchy and messy, and I feel like someone is getting hurt here. It's going to be a good fight. I support it. Cannonier versus MVP. I feel like the chances of this being a fun, watchable fight are kind of low. It's crazy matchmaking. I don't quite like it, but it's interesting. It's not like I'm not going to take my eyes off of the screen for this one. So you win UFC with this one. Team Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. It's dope that flyweights get to be on the main card always. It's kind of a weird matchup. It's not insanely relevant. Maybe the UFC trying to position Asakura right back at the top of the division. I don't know. But Team Elliott is like an interesting question. And it's very unlikely that this one is a bad fight. Like Team Elliott is usually like, even when he fights in frustrating ways, it's usually very exciting. Kai Sakura is always exciting, so it's a good fight. I support it. We have Susurkayev versus Eric Nolan. Weird fight. Not sure why this is here. Maybe the UFC knew that they were going to lose a few fights and they needed like a new fight. They could have tried to get like replacements for whoever pulled out of Carlos Diego Ferreira and Bobby Green, and the Ultimate Fighter. Oh, okay, you cannot get the replacements for the Ultimate Fighter final, so I get it in that one. Nolan is neat. I'm glad that he's making it to the UFC. But there's like, this fight is kind of sketchy because Susurkai gotta make weight for the second time in the week, and Nolan is like a not big welterweight, as I said on the breakdown, but it's still like kind of compelling. Mearshart versus Alex Changer. I don't like it as a fan of both guys, but it's actually like good matchmaking. This is how you match veterans. Kind of weird that they made this with Alex Changer coming off a win against Mearshart coming on a 2-fight losing streak, but it's solid. It's solid, and I like it. Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. Like Andrade finally gets a step down in competition after mixed results lately. Lupita, I feel like it's better than her UFC record shows, and if Lupita wins, like it would be impressive. And Jessica Andrade, has like a good foil to have a good fight here in Lupita Godinez, just because they are in similar size and they're going to bang it out in the pocket. If Lupita tries to wrestle, Andrade can be fun too defending takedowns. So I feel like it's a good fight. Hernandez versus Hooper. Um, it's going to be solid because Chase Hooper brings violence, man. I don't know what's going on with this passy white kid, but he brings the heat, man. I'm not even a fan. Like, I don't like the style of Chase Hooper, but you know he's going to be in crazy ass fights because he just throws heat on the feet and then grapples very aggressively. So we'll see what Hernandez does here because I think like Hooper is going to bring the heat to Hernandez here. Esso Barbosa versus Rakar Close is also like good veteran matchmaking and I like it. It's also a compelling fight because like you wonder if Rakar Close is going to pressure, which is like a thing that he already likes, but we'll see if he's able to do it against Barbosa. Barbosa obviously like on his prime, like a way better fighter than Close ever was, but he's not in his prime anymore. Drakkar Close also kinda old, but he doesn't have like the wear and tear that of an Edson Barbosa. Rusi Boy versus Brian Battle is like Battle needs a fight now that he's back at 185. I'm not huge on Rusi Boy, but like they're going probably bank, especially like just as I said in Sopa versus Southpaw, tall guy versus tall guy is usually a fucking mess and the good kind. So I support it actually. Carini Silva versus Diony Barbosa for a late replacement. They made a good fight. Props to the UFC. Props to Diony Barbosa for taking this fight, especially considering that she already has a win over Carini Silva. But I like it. And the opener, the Ultimate Fighter finale, uh, Ali B. Idris versus Joseph Morales is a great fight. This one is the one that is flying under the radar here. And I didn't even watch Tough, man. I went back to watch the fights for in preparation for this, and I gotta say, man, these two fighters are very exciting. Like Morales has clearly improved since his time in the UFC. Idris is a blue chip prospect. It's going to rule. So actually, I gotta say, maybe this pay per view doesn't have like all the big names, other than a few ones on the main card. But I feel like the matchmaking here is very, very solid. The UFC has put on quite on a few like bad pay per views lately, and I don't think this is one of them. It has a great main event. It has an actual co-main event, and it has like big fight feel on the down the line, like Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates, like Cannonier versus Michael Page is like a pay per view fight, right? You're not making this for a fight night because it's so like out of the box that I gotta support it. So yeah, that's the pay per view. I actually like it. My hidden gem for this one is Idris versus Joseph Morales, and that's it. Thank you as always, guys, for joining the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdowns. Let me know any questions or any comments that you want to know. Remember that if you want to support this, you can head over to Patreon to get access to exclusive content. You can head over to the store to get exclusive merch. And remember, as always, to head over to YouTube to subscribe to the channel and watch the videos. I'm putting quite a few videos this week out, so check those out. And I'll see you guys on Saturday during Fight Companion, so we can watch the fights together. Love you guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye. Okay, that's it for the audio version. Um, let me let me get back to the chat real quick here. This card is great. Yeah, actually, Brian, uh, like looking at fight by fight, it's a great card, man. I'm excited, man. Is there a right straight to the body for Dricos a good options against Chimaev? Yeah, right. The right straight to the body, the straight right to the body, always a good option in general, but it's like particularly good against wrestlers. It's make it very hard to shoot unless you shoot like actually very low. And Chimaev no stranger to shoot very low, so maybe he can get around that. But I love the straight right to the body against a wrestler. To be honest, Hey, McBerry, thank you for joining. Nice to talk to you, man. Too, man. Now, Close is 37, man. He's like only like barely younger than Barbosa. DDP versus Chimaev might look like Suarez versus Sean. There's a chance. There's actually a chance of that. Yeah, every statistic in the UFC is like context dependent. Like we don't have hard statistics in the UFC like we do in other sports. Like statistics in MMA will never be like a statistics in baseball or basketball. Those are like way like better defined statistics. MMA is a lot more abstract and it's also like scored by people, so it's like it's always going to be way harder to predict MMA. And you always gotta put the statistics in context for them to serve you for any good. So I would say that I feel like playing guard against Chimaev has shown to be a decent option actually. Like I'm saying, like the ideally for Dricus, what he wants to do is like defend takedowns in open space. Do not get driven to the fence. If you feel like Chimaev is like pushing you, making you take too many steps, this one is crazy. This advice is crazy. But I feel like you're better off like if Chimaev is like driving you, drop down before you get to the cage. Drop down before you get to the cage. Try to go for like a bot drag or something that you're probably going to lose because Chimaev is a better wrestler. But just get taken down in open space. Like see what Usman was able to do in open space from half guard. He was not absorbing big damage. He was able to create space. He was able to get back to the feet. Yeah, I feel like Chimaev doesn't like playing leg locks or guard against guys. Burns also like a wizard, right? But what's crazy is that, for example, like Sean Brady really wanted to test the guard of Burns, and Burns just like incredibly take that defense despite not doing much in that fight. Do you think it will look like the Bronson fight? The Bronson fight was such a mess, man. I feel like Shimaev is way better than Derek Bronson. He's better on the feet. He's a better wrestler. Why are Draco's mechanics so bad? I actually cannot explain that to you, Rio, but should he fix that? I feel like he should fix some of it for sure. And I feel like looking at clips of the Dricus versus Strickland 2, he looked mechanically sharper in that one. Um, but yeah, I mean, Dricus would be like hugely benefited if he like tied up the overhand right, for example, or tied it up the footwork. Like, there's no way that he gets worse after doing that. I feel like his kicking game is kind of overrated though. Like, it's just because it looks like technically better than the left. Yeah, the left kick looks fine, but it's not like insanely damaging. It's just that it is weird because it's like a well thrown strike in between all of the other jank. Yeah, I can agree with that. He has a good left kick. He uses the kicks in a good way, I think. He's the king of jank weight, man. Super jank weight, by the way, because jank weight is welterweight. Okay, guys, we're gonna leave it at that. Appreciate you so much for joining. I might be doing a video on the striking of Chimaev tomorrow. I won't promise anything, but I think I try. On the meantime, go and check out the alibi video in this channel. Go check that one out because like it really underperformed, and I wanted to have views. I know you Lucas already commented on it. Appreciate that. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. We had a good chat tonight. I'm always kind of nervous because I stream so late this podcast, and I'm always like, oh, no one is going to show up, and you guys always show up, so I always appreciate that, guys. Thank you, Ghost. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Rio, Ewan, Sammy Arnett, Dr. Jones, whoever else is there. I'm very sorry if I forgot anyone that is present at the moment, but appreciate you guys. I hope you guys join me for the fight companion. As always, I'm doing all the fights for the very first prelim onwards. So let's have fun during the fights on Saturday. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. And bye.